All right, guys, I don't like dropping stuff, but we are having to do just that. I have overbooked, booked literally us for the school year. So I have some updates for you guys. I have, I think, two things that we've added. Why am I adding things and dropping these? But we'll get there. Um, five or six things that we're dropping. That hurts to say. And then like two to three things that we're changing. So, yeah, if you want to hear about all that, stick around. Hey guys, welcome and thanks for joining me today. So, if you are new to my channel, I'm a young homeschooling mom of three. This year I have a first grader, a kindergartner, and a toddler. I'm also a second generation homeschooler myself, so this channel is everything and anything homeschool. Today in particular, though, I'm giving you guys a bit of an update about all of the changes that we are currently doing in our homeschool. So, for reference, we have finished 4 weeks of homeschool. We are just starting week 5 as of recording this video. So by the time this goes live, we will have finished week 5 and be on a 2-week break that I had scheduled in because we have some traveling that's going to happen for about a week, and I like having a couple days on each side to prep for our trip and to unpack and all of that. So we're going to take a 2-week break at the end of this week. So by the time you see this, we'll be on our break. But we have done 4 weeks of our homeschool as I wrote it. And our first week was crazy. If you want to see that, I did a video all about that. I will link it above for you guys. But that was crazy, largely due to illness and just other stuff going on. But as we kept going, I just felt like we were doing too much. So I'm not against, as kids get older, their homeschool days lengthening. I don't think we have to keep everything in 2 hours. But right now, for the ages that my children were at and the place we are at, I'm doing a kindergartner and a first grader. And they just don't need a ton of sit down time. And actually, part of it wasn't just the time that they were actually doing because they themselves weren't doing as much as I was. But for me to sit there for such an extended period of time, and I was starting to feel like I was trying to like check through everything, try to push us on to the next thing versus being able to enjoy what we were doing, to take the time in history or our Bible time or our read aloud to actually enjoy with my children instead of having to push on to the next thing. And that wasn't right. So what I started doing before I made all these changes I'm going to talk about, and I do have a lot of changes, I made myself a little sheet where I put my kids' subjects and I started tracking the time it was taking them because I wanted to get a realistic idea of, is our day going from 8 to 12 because we're actually putting in 4 hours of schoolwork? Like, because that seems a lot for a kindergartner or first grader. Or are we losing a lot of time elsewhere? Like, how much is each of them doing individually? How much are we doing as family subjects? So I took about 2 weeks, week and a half, 2 weeks, and actually just tracked time. Each subject, how long did it take this child, how long did they child, how long were each of our family subjects? And that helped a lot. It helped me gain just a good idea of what each child was doing. And then I talked to my husband and I kind of just shared some thoughts I was having, shared which things I was thinking about dropping and why. I asked his opinion on what he thought would be a realistic amount of school time for each of our kids at the ages they're at, because he was also homeschooled, so he can bring that perspective in from his side, because we were homeschooled differently growing up. Um, and that helped as well, getting his opinion on like, I think this is a realistic amount of time for them to be doing schoolwork. I think above this is a little much. So that helped me as I was kind of trying to rein it in. And then what I did is I printed out what I'd created as their, oh, what is it called? Well, it's escaping me. I printed out the list of subjects that I had, um, all the subjects that I was doing with either of my children, family subjects included. And I had them categorized in like, our Bible, our morning time, our math and logic, our English language, our language arts, our extracurriculars, kind of in categories. And in each category, I listed each subject one and bore, one being the thing I wanted to do the most, down the 5 or more, depending on how many were in each category, being the thing that I could lose first. So what I cared about most to what I cared about least. I just numbered them so that I could look at it and go, okay, in this category, these are the things that I care about least. So maybe these are the things. And then I just kind of looked at those bottom ones in each category and figure out which of those I wanted to pare down. So I've done a little bit of work thinking about this. This isn't just spontaneous. I didn't just start dropping things. We actually did take a couple of weeks to work through and see if it was just going to be the schedule that needed sorting or not. And it's not. So this week, number 5, we are starting to implement dropping these things, and it is going smoother. I don't know that we dropped a ton of time. Some of these things we did, some things weren't super long, but just having a few less things in there has made it feel less like I need to push as fast through to the next thing. I feel like I have a little bit more grace for myself, a little bit more time to enjoy what we're doing. And yeah. So I think these are going to be good decisions, good changes. Although it kills me. It kills me to I want to do all the things, guys. I know I'm not the only one who has FOMO. I know I'm not the only one who wants to do all the things, and I just can't this year, not while still feeling good about what I'm having my kids do. I don't wanna feel like I don't mind having my kids do a little bit of hard work. I don't mind my kids sitting down during the day for a couple of hours and doing school and not playing the entire day. They have tons of playtime. But there's a level, and I wanna keep that level healthy. So that's what this is all about. So I'm not going to talk forever. This is not an update on all of the other stuff we're doing, by the way. If you want to see all the stuff that I chose for this year and then see kind of what I'm cutting out, I will link all of my curriculum pick videos below so that you can see what we are still doing. I'm not going to go into all that because I think that would make this video way too long. I will be doing updates on that down the road as we hit. I kind of do quarterly updates. If you want to see more than that, please comment below and let me know if you want to see more often. Otherwise, I kind of do quarterly updates. But this is specifically just the things that are changing, things we're dropping, the things we're adding, and then a couple of things that we're just shifting around or swapping to something else. Okay, so let me just glance at my notes, make sure I'm not missing anything. Okay, so I'm going to start with the good things. I'm going to start with the things we're adding because adding is always fun. Let's start on a positive for me, and I'll end on a positive for you. At the very end, I did ask my kids which of their subjects they enjoyed the most this year so far in these 4 weeks, and they gave me those. So at the very end of this, I'll let you know what subjects are my kids' favorite, along with all the things that we aren't dropping. Oh, I did forget to mention, as I was deciding what to drop, I did take my children's opinion into account. Now, I know I've talked before, I'm not a favor of child-led learning, and that's not what this is. But as I decided, well, I'm okay with dropping, these 5 things. Then when I picked the things that I was okay with dropping, I asked my children's opinion. I said, what is your least favorite? What is your most favorite? What do you think of these things? Because if there was something that they absolutely loved that I was thinking about dropping, I'd be more inclined to leave that in versus something that I was thinking about dropping and they hate it. So if we both agree it should go, it should go. So I'm not letting my children choose what we are and aren't doing, but I'm taking their input into account as I'm deciding things. So I did also, along with timing what we were doing, getting my husband's input, I did also get my kids' input onto which things they liked. So, like I said, at the end, I'll share their favorite things, the thing they said they liked the most that we absolutely aren't dropping. But for right now, the things I've added in. So one of the things that we've added in is in the beginning of our day, I have a quiet time with my kids. And I don't know if I even call this school time. I don't really qualify this as school time, but we read a Bible story. We have some prayer time. And something we started adding is, and I'm beginning that time with a hymn. We're singing the same hymn all week. I'll play the piano. My kids will stand next to me and sing. My oldest one can read the lyrics. My youngest one just sings what she can remember or hums along. But we do one hymn. And then we move into a time of prayer. And I got this idea from a book I was reading. I think it was called Thoroughness and Charm by Mandy Gert. I think. I can link that below if you're interested. And it wasn't a book that I was like, oh, I love this book. But there's a few things that I really got out of it. And one of the things she was talking about is modeling prayer for our children. If our children only pray what comes out of their minds, they will always be, help me with this, give me this is what I want, make this, like those kind of prayers. Whereas if we can model some prayers from the older saints, or not even older, but people like teaching kids to talk to God in more ways than just give me and help me. Not that I'm against kids learning and really speaking what they want. And I let my kids have their time of prayer and they get to say it however they want, whatever they want. But one thing we have started doing is reading a prayer from this book called Fount of Heaven, Prayers of the Early Church. And these are page-long prayers, sometimes half page, from the early church. And it is wonderful. And the way people pray and the words they use challenge me. Honestly, I love reading these. And so I read one aloud, and then we take like a paragraph or a couple of sentences for each prayer, and we pray it together as a family. And I'm just trying to teach my children that there is a lot more to prayer than I want and help me. There's a lot of just adoring God, revering God, talking about who God is and to God, and talking about what he has said. Like there's so much more to a relationship and prayer with God. And so I could just reading some of these to them and then just saying some out loud together is really good. So I'm really, really enjoying this addition to our quiet time in the morning. That and the hymn. Okay. The other thing that we've added in, and I mentioned this in one of my previous videos when I showed you guys this program, is this victory drill book. This I am doing with both of my children, but I'm gonna just run through it real fast with my older one. She's reading so well, I don't really feel the need for a lot of additional stuff with her. But my younger one, I think this is gonna be really, really good for her. It's essentially well, if you want to see my review on what it is, I will link that as well. But it's essentially lists of words following specific rules. It is a whole program in and of itself. We're just using this as a supplement. But they go through these lists of words and they're timing themselves, trying to beat their time. And when they can make it through these lists in a certain time frame without missing more than like 3 words, they get to move on to the next page, which has additional phonics rules brought in. And basically, the idea is that you're teaching them not to read fast, as in like speed reading a book, but to recognize the words and sounds and be able to speak them quickly versus having to sound out each word. So basically, your child who's in the process of learning to read and sounding out words, this is helping them recognize the phonics and speak them quickly. And I think this is actually going to be perfect for Madara. I've been surprised at how well she can do. I thought she had to sound out words a lot more than she did. And so after doing this, I'm encouraging her not to sound out words as much in some of the other reading we're doing when it's an easy word that I think she can recognize if she actually takes the time to do so. So this has been a good fit. I think this is actually going to really help us in our reading journey and in her speed of reading as she's learning. So those are the 2 additions, things that I think are great. Okay, next we're going to show you the things that we're dropping. And like I said, I think I have like 5 or 6 of those. And then I'm going to show you the things that we're changing. So things that we're letting go of something but bringing something else in instead. Not just dropping the subject but swapping out to a different curriculum, I guess. Okay, things we're dropping, and these were just simply because, man, my throat is giving me trouble today. Things were dropping simply because we didn't have time. I just needed to check priorities. And one of those was I was going to read through just pieces of Home Geography by C.C. Long and Elementary Geography by Charlotte Mason. And we will probably pick these back in a different year. It just wasn't the year. It's first grade and kindergarten. I'm okay waiting for a few years. It just wasn't the priority. And so those were one of the things to go. Another thing to go is I was pulling in some Ambleside Online's literature recommendations. And I'm just not going to have enough time to do a read aloud, Aesop's Fables, and the Uncle Remus Fables, which we are doing. We're going to keep those and then do additional literature readings along with what we're doing. So I'm dropping the section of literature read that would have included, like I printed off some fairy tales. It would have included like the James Herriot children stories, some of these folk tales and songs, although I don't think this was Ambleside recommendation, but this is one of the ones I pulled in. Now, while I say I'm going to drop these, I will drop these as a separate chunk of like literature time. However, I may pull these in as some of our read alouds. So especially this one, I'm not going to read this along with our read alouds, but I am totally fine making this one of our read alouds, and I probably will do so because I think my kids would really enjoy this. But we're just dropping that extra slot of time for additional reading. I think I'm going to have to just pull back and be realistic that I'm not going to be read aloud as much as I thought I might be. Although we are enjoying our read alouds as a whole. Okay, another thing we're dropping is, and these are all family subjects. I have a couple of individual subjects we're dropping at the very end here. Hopefully the glare on these isn't too bad, guys. Exploring nature with children. I wanted to do this. I really did. And just time. We just don't have time. And of all the things we're going to be doing, this is just not it. My kids do get time to play outside. They get time to be dirty. We'll go on walks with them. In the future, maybe I'll try pulling that 8 again. I'm not opposed to that, but just right now, this time and place, it's just not it. Unfortunately. Okay. Some other things we've dropped. So some individual subjects that we've dropped, I guess. For my kindergartner, we have dropped 180 days of geography. I did this with my first kindergartner and it was good, but my first kindergartner was reading on her own much more sufficiently. So she could do this somewhat independently. And she was just a little bit more advanced in general. I think when I was sharing last year sometime, even with my first child, I was sharing that I don't know how much geography she learned. It was really just good practice for her to do a little bit of step-by-step following instructions. And I kind of feel the same way. It's not super heavy on geography. I don't feel like skipping it, my kid's going to miss anything. And so everyone was like, okay, if it's not super heavy on geography and we just don't have time, she needs me for it, let's just let it go. So, and this was one of the ones that she said was actually one of Pooey's favorites. So when I was looking and I'd listed these things that I was thinking of dropping, and she said, well, yeah, I really don't like that. I'm like, okay, if I don't think it's benefiting you that much and you don't like it, like, why are you holding on to it? So that's one. And then for my first grader, I let go of her logic. We were going to do beginning thinking skills primary. And again, it was just a time thing. But they also did switch. I've done their beginning thinking skills, beginner 1 and beginning 2. Or not beginning thinking skills, sorry, building thinking skills, beginner 1 and 2 with both my daughters. And I really enjoyed that. I'm doing beginning 2 with my kindergartner right now. I liked both of those. But starting at primary, they kind of switched their logic over to slightly different. I don't even know how to describe it. It became more analogies and less, I don't know. It just shifted. And I didn't love it as much. And I didn't think she needed it. We might do. I've been thinking about maybe pulling in mind benders at some point. But right now, when we haven't as much as our plate, I don't really want to do that yet. Maybe if down the road things, when things are finishing up or if things are going super smooth, maybe I'll do that. But for right now, I feel like we're getting some of that logic in her math and in other subjects, and so I'm okay with letting go of that for now. I don't feel like I'm really, like, losing a ton by not having her do a separate logic curriculum, especially when I don't love it all that much. So we dropped that for her. Um, and then the next things we dropped, and this one, okay, guys, I had settled on dropping these. I was gonna drop these. I'd let go, but I really didn't want to. I love this curriculum. It's one of the ones I've told you guys in the past that I really, really like. And it was nothing to do with the curriculum. It was just priorities of, like, content. What content do I value the most in the kindergarten and first grade year? And I was like, this is just not it. So I had settled on dropping grammar, which would be these first language lessons, 1 for my kindergartner and 2 we were doing with my first grader. And I had been like, okay, I'm going to let him go. I'm just going to let him go. I don't want to, I am. And now I'm not really sure if I am, guys. I love these. And okay, I decided to drop them because I decided that grammar wasn't super important in the early years. And I don't think grammar is, like, necessary, but I do love how gentle these are. I do love what my daughters are getting out of them. Like, they are retaining them, and they do only take, like, 5 minutes a day for us per child. So that's kind of why I'm like, oh, maybe we could keep it if it's only 5 minutes a day. So these are kind of being held in limbo. We're not doing them this week. Like I said, we're trying a week with all these things dropped. But if I can figure out a smooth routine for our schedule, and I do feel like we're getting there. Actually, having dropped this and done our first day today, I do feel like it was much smoother. If I can pull these back in, I probably will. So these are a maybe. These are we might be dropping, but I'd love to keep them. So I guess you'll see that in future updates if we do decide to drop these or not. These, like I said, I had decided to drop, and now I'm like backpedaling on that. Having dropped some of these other things, I'm wondering if I can get away with keeping it. So we'll see. Okay, so those are the things that we're just purely dropping. Now for a couple of things that we are trading out. Handwriting for my kindergartner. We were using Handwriting Practice Made Fun, book 2. Now, this was a mistake. I accidentally bought this book. Bought isn't a word. Bought this book. And when I tried to return it, they just said, oh, just keep it. So I was like, well, we'll just use it for my daughter. Great. I like the handwriting book 3 and 4 for my older daughter. We're using book 4 with her right now. We're keeping that. So we were just using it. And my daughter liked that there's a little bunny that teaches her how to write. So she was having fun with it. But I can't say I've loved it. Like, the way they teach the letters has been okay, but not amazing. And recently I got access to a different kindergarten handwriting that I'm liking a whole lot more. So I am actually going to be sharing this with you shortly. I don't want to show you yet because I'm going to be sharing it with you in detail down the road as I look through it more. I'm going to be partnering with this company with some of her materials that I think are pretty cool and pretty high quality. And I really do like her handwriting from what I've seen this kindergarten level. So we're going to be trialing the kindergarten level, and I will be sharing with you how it goes and how we like it and a lot more about it down the road. So keep your eyes open for that. But we're going to be trading over to that. And I think I'm really going to like it. And I think my daughter's going to like it too. Okay. Lastly, well, not lastly, the last thing I'm sure we're going to be swapping to something else is we are not going to be doing scientific connections through inquiry anymore. And that kind of makes me sad. I was really hopeful about this. I was also hesitant because I've seen a lot of mixed reviews. And I'm not 100% sure that we won't try this next year. What do I say? I don't know. My kids didn't hate it. They didn't dislike it, but I didn't feel like it was so much conversation as me trying to tell them things that could turn into conversations. They're just young, and maybe it was their ages, even though this is supposed to be kindergarten through 2nd grade. So with kindergarten at first, I thought it would be perfect. Maybe it's my kids, maybe it's me. Maybe it was just that at the end of a long day, I didn't have it in me to facilitate the conversations that needed to be facilitated because this is an afternoon or at the end of our day subject. So part of me is sad. I'm not getting rid of this yet. But it's not going to be this year, and we'll see if we pick it up again or not. I'm undecided on that. So yeah. So what I'm going to do instead, we were doing 2 days a week, and just for the sake of time and personal investment and personal energy at the end of the day, we are swapping to something much simpler, and I think at a lower age comprehension level than this one requires. And we are going to be trying one of the little hearts and hands from The Good and the Beautiful. I think we're going to be doing Wind and Waves. In fact, I bought it secondhand. It's in the mail right now, so I can't show it to you, but I'll pop a picture up. And this, I think, we'll be able to do just once a week and get through this one unit if we do one lesson a week. I think we can just sit down for half an hour and do a whole lesson in that chunk of time is what it looks like. And I'm hopeful. Actually, this particular unit, I think my kids are really going to love. It covers weather patterns. It covers thunderstorms, which my kids love thunder. They love the weather. So I think they're gonna be super interested in that. It covers oceans and ocean animals and lots of various stuff in the, realm of wind and waves, right? So atmosphere and water. And I think my kids are really gonna enjoy the topics. And looking through the sample lessons, I think it is gonna be perfectly leveled for them. It's gonna take a lot less thought for me to implement because it's a lot of reading and just then doing a little craft. The crafts seem pretty simple. Um, the reason I actually looked at these little hearts and hands in the past, and I had decided not to do them because the one I had looked at had videos for like every other lesson, and I'm just not a fan of pulling in a lot of video-based learning, at least not at this age. I really wanted to keep as little of that as possible. That's just a personal preference thing. And so I was like, no, we don't need to do video-based science lessons at this age. But what I didn't realize is that not all of them are video-based. So the unit we're using is actually audio recordings. It has every couple lessons, there's an audio they listen to. And I'm totally fine with audio. That's fine. So I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that this is going to be a good fit. I'm hopefully, since it's just once a week, it opens up a little bit more time on another day, that it's going to be a good level. I think my kids are really going to enjoy it. I've pulled away from something that's a little bit more like, oh, I think this is going to be really good science, into something that I think they're going to enjoy a little bit more, if that makes sense. And not that I'm anti doing good science, but for kindergarten and first grade, I'm okay doing something that they just find a lot of interest. I think I'm realizing that at the end of the day, it's got to be something fun for me and for them. As they get older, that will change, and we will go for something that's more good science over something that's fun. But since science isn't something that I see as necessary at these ages, I think it's okay to just do something that's a little bit more enjoyable. And I do think they will pick up on things. Not saying they won't get science from it. I'm just thinking that since it's not necessary, let's do something a little bit lighter for all of us. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm sorry if it doesn't. My throat's bugging me a little bit and I had this little like twitch in my eye, so I hope I'm not too distracted uh, as I'm talking, but we're trying to make it somewhat coherent. Okay, so the last thing that I'm not 100% sure we're going to be adjusting, but that we might be, is our phonics for my kindergartner. Now, you guys know I use Logic English. I love Logic English. And I'm not planning to drop Logic English, but we are just at the end of book B. And I think we need to call a pause on it. So I feel like C speeds up even more. And I feel like my daughter's barely keeping up with a B right now, and not using it well. I feel like she can memorize the rules, she can memorize the phonograms, but I don't feel like when she actually reads, it's all coming together for her. So I want to pause where we're at and use something else to just reinforce, to practice until we get her up to where I feel like she needs to be to continue. I know Logic English C is not written for 5-year-olds. A and B, A, yes, B, maybe. C is just, it goes faster. It introduces some more longer, harder rules, longer, harder phonograms that have more sound. And so I just don't want to push her into that yet. So I don't have a, like, this is what we're doing, but I have something in mind that we might be doing. I'm not going to share that yet. I will be doing updates on that. And if what we decide to do, I will be sharing with you down the road. I do know that we will be using this because I'm liking this, and that we are not dropping, I guess I have right here. We're not dropping this, but I do think we need to pause this for a time and find something else to work with and then come back to this when she's a little more ready to advance further. So that's something that I am in the process of figuring out how we're going to change that up. Okay. Now, I told you I would let you know what my kids' favorites were. So I asked my first grader what her favorite was, and she said read alouds and math, which I didn't actually expect her to say math, but that was really happy. She actually really is enjoying math. My kindergartner said that her favorites were the fables that we've been reading and our general read aloud, and then German. So that's a hit because we were struggling with German last year and this summer, and I feel like we finally found a rhythm for that. And then for me personally, my favorite has honestly been listening to my kids' narrations on history. We do readings twice a week, and then the third day we do some narrations. And I have really been enjoying seeing what they remember. They don't get, like, this is just an overview. They're so young. I don't expect them to get all the details, but it's been really, really fun. That it surprises me because I've been writing them down and I didn't expect to enjoy it. And I really, really have enjoyed it. So that's all I got for you guys. That should be enough. It kills me to drop some of these things. I do not like dropping things, but I'm trying to do what's healthy for our homeschool, what's healthy for my kids, what's healthy for me. I am trying not to have to do all the things, even though I want to do all the things. I'm really trying to find that balance. It was really helpful for me to get my husband's opinion and his input and like just get him to hear my thoughts and tell me if what I'm thinking makes sense. So yeah, comments, thoughts, let me know. Anything down below. And if you like this kind of content, don't forget to like and subscribe.